Hey everyone, thanks for being here. Let's get into today's family story. My name is Emily Harper. I'm 28, and last night my own mother decided I was going to be the punchline at family dinner. It started small, the way it always does. My mom glanced at my old car through the kitchen window and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Some people in this family are still broke and proud of it." My dad chuckled, my brother smirked, and I pretended I didn't hear. I set down the salad I'd made and took my usual seat at the far end of the table while they compared flight times and hotel upgrades for their upcoming Vegas trip. My brother pulled out his brand new phone, waved it around, and my mom said, "See? That's what happens when you're not lazy." Then she looked straight at me. Meanwhile, some people will always be a worthless nobody. Always broke. Always behind. The table went quiet for half a second. Then my dad broke the silence with a joke about how at least I was consistent. My brother actually raised his glass and said, "To knowing how to manage money." And they all clinked their drinks together while my mom laughed and added, "Yeah, not like Emily." They toasted behind my back as if I wasn't sitting right there. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I just felt something in me finally shut off. I put my fork down, stood up and said, "I have an early morning. Enjoy your trip." I walked out without slamming the door, drove home in the same embarrassing car they love to mock, opened my laptop, and pulled up an account they have no idea exists. Tomorrow morning, they're going to wake up to one email that explains exactly who's really broke in this family. If your own parents called you worthless while spending money they didn't earn, would you stay and take it? Or would you let the truth blow up their perfect little image? Stay with me, because that email changed everything. When I got home after that dinner, I didn't cry into a pillow or call a friend to rant. I did what I always do when something feels wrong. I opened my laptop. On the surface, I am exactly who my parents love to describe at parties. I drive a paid-off 2014 Honda Civic. I rent a tiny one-bedroom in Bay Ridge, Texas. I make my coffee at home instead of stopping at Starbucks, and I work remotely doing medical billing for a hospital group in Houston. I am not flashy. I am not impressive to people who measure worth in vacations and vehicles. But 4 years ago, when my grandparents Evelyn and George Miller died, they didn't care about appearances. They cared about who actually showed up. I was the one who drove them to appointments, who sat with Grandpa while he did his chemo, who helped Grandma sort through insurance statements and confusing hospital bills. So when their estate lawyer called us in, everyone assumed my parents would be the ones in charge. Instead, the lawyer looked straight at me and said, "Emily, your grandparents named you trustee of the Miller Family Trust." I remember my mom's smile freezing in place, my dad clearing his throat, Tyler scrolling on his phone like nothing had changed. The trust wasn't some massive billionaire fortune. It was enough for a decent house in our town, or to cover big emergencies if life went sideways. The documents were clear. The money was meant for health, education, and basic housing. Real needs, not living our best life, Instagram moments. At 24, I signed the papers with shaking hands and promised myself I would use it the way they intended. The first time I touched that money was when my mom found a lump and the word cancer showed up on a biopsy report. I knew exactly what those treatments cost because I process those claims every single day for other people. I told her, "There's a program that will help cover what insurance doesn't." She thought I meant the hospital had some secret charity. What I actually meant was that I authorized payments from the trust to cover her chemo, her scans, her medications. Then Tyler decided to get serious about his future and enroll in an online degree. He cried about wanting to be the first in our family to get a bachelor's. My parents said they had no idea how they'd afford it. I quietly set up recurring payments from the trust, so his tuition hit zero every term. When my dad started complaining that his old car was unsafe for the kind of sales routes he had, and that he was losing deals because he didn't look successful enough, I said there might be help with the insurance premiums if he switched to something a bit newer. He signed the paperwork. I adjusted the trust distributions again. They called it a blessing and joked about winning the genetic lottery with my grandparents. Over 4 years, month after month, while I skipped nights out and brought leftovers for lunch, the trust quietly bled for them. Medical bills in my mom's name, tuition invoices in Tyler's, insurance and payments on my dad's truck, rent and utilities when they fell behind. I never threw it in their faces. I never asked for a thank you speech. I honestly thought I was doing what family is supposed to do. That night, after they toasted to my worthlessness, I pulled up the trust account and opened the detailed transaction history, line after line, hospital names I recognize from work, pharmacy charges, online university payments with Tyler's student ID number, insurance companies for my dad's vehicle, a few home improvement stores when their AC died one summer. I exported everything into a spreadsheet and let the software total it. When the number popped up, my stomach actually flipped. In 4 years, I had authorized just under $180,000 for them. $180,000, while they called the person signing off on it a worthless nobody because she drives an old car and drinks cheap coffee. I leaned back in my chair and stared at that number until the screen blurred. For a second, I wondered if I was overreacting, if they just didn't realize. Then my phone buzzed. It was a Facebook notification. My mom had tagged my dad and Tyler in a new post. A photo of 3 Vegas plane tickets, a screenshot of their hotel confirmation, and a caption that said, "Some of us know how to live a little. Life's too short to be boring and broke. Blessed with my boys." Tyler commented, "Can't wait. We earn this," with a bunch of fire emojis. My mom replied, "Maybe your sister will figure it out one day." I clicked on her profile, scrolled, and saw picture after picture of steak dinners, new shoes, upgraded backyard furniture, all with captions about hard work paying off. Not one word about the government program or insurance blessing they'd told me they thought they had. In that moment, something cooled inside me. This wasn't ignorance. This was contempt. They were happy to let money they didn't earn keep them comfortable while they mocked the person making the decisions. I opened the scanned copy of my grandparents' letter, the one the lawyer had given me along with the legal documents. In Grandma's careful handwriting, it said, "We trust you, Emily. Use this to keep yourself safe. And if you choose to help family, make sure they truly need it and understand what a gift it is." I realized I had broken that last part. I had protected them without ever asking them to respect it. I closed my eyes, took a breath, and opened my email. In the morning, I was going to call the trust attorney and ask a very simple question: how do I stop? Because if my family wanted to know what broke really looked like, I could show them. They just wouldn't like the lesson. The next morning, I drove back to my parents' house with a knot in my stomach and a plastic storage bin in my trunk. I told my mom I needed to grab some of Grandma's old photo albums before they got ruined in the garage. She sounded distracted, said the back door was open. They were busy planning for summer. On the kitchen island were catalogs, printouts, and a glossy pool company brochure. On top, an estimate for almost $10,000 in backyard upgrades, stamped "deposit paid" with my dad's signature. The last 4 digits of the card jumped out at me. It was the one tied directly to the trust. My mom brushed past with her phone, saying she had to jump on a call with the pool guy like he was a surgeon. In my dad's office, his chair was empty, but his emails were printed in a messy stack. The top subject line, "Re-guest list for the Smiths party." My mom had written, "Let's keep it to just us and a few neighborhood families." I don't want Emily there. Her car is embarrassing next to the Smiths' Tesla, and she always looks tired. Just tell her we're keeping it small so she doesn't ruin the vibe. My dad replied that he'd handle it. Another email to the pool company bragged about unexpected insurance money and included the same trust card digits for the rushed install. They knew exactly what they were doing, keeping the benefits, cutting me out of the picture. I grabbed the photo albums, drove home in silence, and opened my laptop. The trust spreadsheet filled the screen. Instead of just staring at the total, I sorted by category: medical, education, vehicle, household. Each chemo session, scan, and prescription for my mom glowed red and yellow like a warning light. Tuition payments and online course fees for Tyler lined up neatly under his student ID. Truck payments and insurance for my dad sat in their own straight column. Airline tickets, hotel stays, home improvement charges for grills and furniture landed in miscellaneous emergencies. When I hit total, the number from the night before came back unforgiving, just under $180,000. Right then, my phone buzzed. Tyler. Hey, Em. Random question. Can you spot me like $100 for baseball tickets? I know things are tight for you, but I'll pay you back. In the screenshot behind the text, he was at a steakhouse with a drink and a huge steak captioned, "Treat yourself. You deserve it." I put my phone face down and opened a new email to the trust attorney. I laid out the basics: how much had gone out, what it had paid for, that my family thought it was insurance money. I asked what my options were if I wanted to stop all future payments. His reply was fast and blunt. As trustee, I had full authority to control disbursements as long as I honored the trust's purpose: health, education, basic housing. Vacations and backyard makeovers were nowhere on that list. You may cease payments immediately, he wrote, but as a courtesy, we recommend 60 to 90 days notice. 60 felt too easy for them. 90 felt like the kind of grace no one could claim I hadn't given. I answered, 90, with a complete accounting attached. As we traded drafts for a formal notice letter, my anger cooled into something sharper. This wasn't about punishing them for fun. It was about finally honoring my grandparents' wishes and drawing a line. When I e-signed the letter, the plan was simple. Show them every dollar, give them 90 days, shut the tap. They'd spent years laughing about how broke I was while swimming in money they didn't earn. Now they were going to see what life looked like without my silence. My mom called me that Thursday while I was finishing a stack of claims. Her name flashed on my phone. I almost let it go to voicemail, then answered. "We're doing a family dinner on Sunday," she said. "No hello. Your dad and I want to talk about some important plans. You should be here." The should landed like an order. When I asked what kind of plans, she just said, "Good ones. We're finally going to enjoy life a little. Just be here at 6. I said I'd come. Sunday evening, I parked my embarrassing Civic down the street and walked past the Smiths' shiny Tesla. In my parents' backyard, string lights half hung along the fence, boxes from outdoor speakers and LED kits littered the grass, and chalk marks traced where the pool crew would cut the concrete. My dad gestured around like a salesman showing off a model home. "This place is going to look incredible once the pool's finished. The Smiths are going to lose their minds." My mom spotted me. "Oh good, you're here. Pizza's inside. We'll be in after we finish with the pool guys." Inside, I passed a stack of pizza boxes and an overpriced salad in a takeout bowl. Tyler strolled in, glued to his phone in yet another new hoodie. "Hey, you see my text about the baseball tickets?" he mumbled. Before I could answer, my mom clapped her hands. "Family meeting time." We sat at the table. My dad leaned forward. "Your mom and I have worked hard our whole lives," he said. "With everything that's happened, it's finally our time to live a little. Pool, backyard, Vegas, a few upgrades. Things that make life worth living." My mom chimed in. "After my health scare, I realized we can't sit around looking like the poor relatives. The Smiths are doing all this. and we're not going to be left behind. I kept my voice level. Okay. And what does this have to do with me? They shared a look I knew too well. We've been thinking about how we present as a family, my mom said carefully. People notice who's doing well and who isn't. It affects how they see us, so we think, for now, it might be better if you skip the bigger events, the pool party, neighborhood things, until you get your feet under you. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable. My dad added, it's not personal. It's just, when the Smiths' daughter rolls up in her new house owner car and you arrive in that old Civic and work clothes, it sends a message. We don't want you judged. You mean you don't want to be judged for me? I said. My mom's smile tightened. We don't want anyone thinking we didn't raise our kids right. You're almost 30, Emily. It's time you figured things out. Until then, it's better if we keep things separate. I glanced toward the backyard. So all this, pool, lights, Vegas, furniture, you're funding it how? Secret promotion? My dad grinned. Let's just say timing's been on our side. A few smart financial moves, some lucky breaks with insurance. When you know how to play the game, money shows up. Must be nice, I said. Inside, I could see the spreadsheet. Every lucky break, with my initials next to it. My mom waved it away. You don't need to worry about the details. You just focus on your little job and getting your life together. We're handling the big stuff. My little job. The one that paid for her chemo and his truck. I swallowed the bitter laugh. Got it. You handle the big stuff. Dessert came out, some store cheesecake she pretended she'd whipped together. They returned to debating guest lists and whether to hire a bartender. I just watched. By the time I stood to leave, my decision was set. My mom kissed my cheek. If anyone asks, we're just doing a small family barbecue. No need to mention the real party. Don't worry, I said, meeting her eyes. I won't ruin the vibe. On the drive home through the Bay Ridge sunset, I didn't take a single picture. I just repeated my plan in my head. No screaming, no begging them to see me. The next family meeting would be on my terms, and this time, the numbers would do the talking. I didn't wait long. The night after that dinner, I sat on my couch with the trust spreadsheet open and my grandparents' letter beside it. Then I started a group video call with my mom, dad, and Tyler. My mom answered looking annoyed, called the others into frame. My dad muted the TV. Tyler's LED-lit room popped up. This better not be about the pool party, my dad said. We already explained. It's not about the party, I said. It's about money. That word snapped everyone to attention. 4 years ago, when Grandma and Grandpa died, their lawyer told us about the Miller Family Trust, I began. You've always acted like I got some little inheritance. That's not what happened. They made me trustee. That means I decide how the money is used. My mom sighed. We know, Emily. You got your little nest egg. Congrats. I hit screen share. The spreadsheet filled their screens. You know those hospital bills, Mom? The chemo, the scans, the meds insurance didn't cover. The program that took care of the balance? I highlighted the medical column. That wasn't charity. That was the trust. I authorized every payment. My mom stared. No, the hospital said 0 because the trust paid it. I cut in. I moved to the next section. Tyler, your tuition. The reason your balance clears every term? His student ID sat next to rows of payments. Trust. I switched again. Dad, your truck payments and insurance when you got lucky and didn't lose it? Trust. My dad's jaw tightened. Why would they put you in charge instead of us? Because I was the one driving them to chemo and sorting bills while you were posting game day selfies, I said. They knew I'd read the fine print. Silence stretched as they scanned the numbers. My mom went defensive first. Well, we didn't ask you to do any of that. You chose to. We thought it was insurance. If you wanted credit, You should have said so. Don't ambush us now. I don't want credit, I said. I want you to understand why it's stopping. I pulled up the notice letter. This is a breakdown of every cent spent on you, just under $180,000, while you called me a worthless nobody for driving an old car. My mom shook her head. We are not some charity case. We've sacrificed plenty. You sacrificed nothing financially, I said. You used money you didn't earn to play rich and cut me out so I wouldn't ruin the vibe. I pointed to a line. Here's your pool deposit, paid with the trust card you keep pretending is insurance money. My dad snapped. You had no right to dig through our accounts. I had every right to see where the trust card went, I replied. And as of now, it's not going to your lifestyle anymore. Tyler blurted, You can't just cut us off. What about my tuition? You want me to drop out? I want you to act like an adult, I said. Work more hours, take fewer classes, talk to financial aid, learn to budget before you mock the person who already does. My mom's voice cracked. So that's it? You flip a switch and let us drown? After my cancer? After everything? I would pay for your treatment again, I said softly. I'm not taking that back. But there's a difference between saving your life and funding your pool. I clicked a small button. The red recording dot appeared on my screen. Here's what happens next, I said. Tomorrow morning you'll get an email from the trust attorney. It will show every payment made for you and give you 90 days notice. After that, all regular support stops. Auto pays are canceled. My dad exploded. 90 days? You expect us to rebuild our entire budget in 3 months? You're insane. 60 is standard, I said. I insisted on 90 so you couldn't say I blindsided you. Sell the truck if you have to. Cancel the pool. Pick up extra shifts. That's what adults do. My mom whispered, We're your parents. Family doesn't do this. Family also doesn't toast to their daughter being worthless while eating meals her grandparents paid for, I said. Tyler tried one last time. What if we promise to be more grateful? Just keep mom's medical stuff and my tuition going. The trust will still be there for real emergencies, I said. At my discretion. But the free ride is over. My dad pointed at the camera. You'll regret this when we're gone and you're alone. Maybe, I said. But I regret 4 years of letting you believe this was magic money. I don't regret stopping. I ended the call before they could respond, saved the recording, and scheduled the attorney's email for the morning. For years, they'd talked like I was the broken one. Tomorrow, a single email would show them exactly who'd been keeping everything from breaking. At 8 a.m. the next morning, I sat at my kitchen table, coffee in hand, and opened the trust attorney's email draft. Subject: Miller Family Trust. Notice of termination of support. Calm language. Attached accounting. Clear statement that all ongoing support for my parents and Tyler would end in 90 days, that auto payments were canceled, and that future help would be limited to real emergencies. I reread it once, then clicked send and set my phone face down. I washed dishes, took a shower, started laundry. When I finally checked my phone, less than an hour had passed, and my screen was filled with missed calls. My mom, my dad, Tyler, over and over, plus texts saying, "What is this?" and "Call me now." Their replies to the attorney were already in my inbox. My mom's was a frantic paragraph accusing him of making a mistake, insisting there was no way they'd cost that much. My dad's was shorter and angrier, demanding a meeting and threatening legal action. The attorney responded to both calmly, quoting the trust documents, confirming my authority, and pointing them back to the itemized payments attached. A hard knock shook my apartment door before I finished reading. I wasn't surprised. My parents don't sit on bad news. I opened the door a crack and saw them in the hallway. My mom with swollen eyes and unbrushed hair, my dad stiff and furious behind her. She pushed past me. What did you do? She demanded. They're saying the pool, the medical bills, the truck, the credit cards, all of it came from the trust. That can't be right. It is, I said, closing the door. You liked the idea of insurance money because it meant you never had to ask what it really was. My dad slapped the back of a chair. 90 days? We have payments lined up, plans in motion. You can't just cut us off and walk away. I picked up a folder I'd prepared, the printed accounting and my grandparents' letter. I handed it to my mom. This isn't sudden, I said. You've had 4 years of support you didn't earn. This is you being asked to stand on your own. She flipped through pages. Chemo sessions, prescriptions, tuition, insurance. When she reached the total, her hand went to her mouth. I never asked you for this, she whispered. I didn't want to be a burden. You didn't ask, I said. And you never asked where it came from. You were happy to pose on a deck someone else paid for. My dad read the letter, scoffed at the line about trusting me to make sure recipients understood the gift. So now you think you're above us because they wrote your name in some letter? No, I said. I think I'm finally doing what they asked. They didn't want their money turning into entitlement. A softer knock sounded. Tyler stood in the doorway, hoodie up. They just turned off my payment plan, he said. The school says I owe next term in full. What am I supposed to do? Get more hours, I said. Talk to financial aid. Maybe switch to community college or take one class at a time. Plenty of people do it without a secret trust behind them. His cheeks flushed. I didn't know it was all from there, he muttered. I thought there was some grant. I mean, I knew they helped, but not like this. I know, I said. That's why you get the same 90 days. I'm not trying to wreck you. I'm trying not to let you turn into them. My mom grabbed my hand. We'll lose the house, she said. The bills, the mortgage, everything. We can't do this alone. I squeezed once, then let go. You did life before the trust, I said. You can do it after. If there's a real medical emergency, we can talk. But Vegas, pools, truck upgrades? That chapter is closed. The room went quiet. My dad gave a bitter laugh. Fine, watch us crash. Don't come running when we're gone and you're stuck here by yourself. You're not crashing, I said. You're just not flying on autopilot anymore, and I won't be in this apartment forever. I opened the door, a clear signal. You have 89 days left, I said. Start acting like it. They shuffled out. My mom clutched the folder. My dad refused to look at me. Tyler lingered. I'm sorry, he said softly. About the stuff I said at dinner, about the tickets. I didn't get it. You do now, I said. That's a start. When the door clicked shut, the silence felt different, lighter. Outside, their perfect little life had just taken a direct hit. Inside, for the first time in years, my future didn't feel tied to their spending. And as harsh as 90 days sounded, it was more grace than they'd ever given me. 90 days sounds like a lot until you're the one counting. For my parents, it went by fast. I didn't see everything up close, but in a town like Bay Ridge, you don't have to. News travels on Facebook, at the grocery store, in line at the pharmacy. The first ripple hit about 2 weeks after that email. The pool company called my parents to say the payment had been reversed and the card on file was no longer valid. My mom posted a vague status about dishonest contractors and plans changing, but people talk. I heard from a coworker who lives 2 streets over that the company had actually filed a complaint because my parents tried to push back the install without paying a dime. The deposit they were so proud of? It flowed back into the trust account. The Vegas trip was next. I saw the cancellation before they did, because the travel agency's refund notice hit the trust email first. By the time my mom's counting down the days to Vegas Post quietly disappeared from her profile. The money was already being rerouted towards something else, closing out the last of her medical debt so it couldn't be used as emotional leverage anymore. The backyard turned into a half-finished project. The string lights stayed in their boxes, the chalk lines faded from the concrete, and the fancy brochures ended up in the recycling bin. The Smiths still had their Tesla and their clean, simple yard. My parents had a pile of unpaid invoices and no one left to blame but themselves. About a month in, my dad put his truck up for sale. I didn't hear it from him. I saw it on a local buy and sell page. Well maintained, great condition, must go, serious offers only. The first time I drove by their house and saw a smaller, older car in the driveway instead, something in me relaxed. Not because he had less, but because he finally had to live inside reality. Tyler's world shrank too. The college portal didn't magically reset itself. Without the trust's auto-pay, his balance stayed put. He dropped most of his classes, picked up extra shifts at a sporting goods store, and started posting less about the grind and more about anyone hiring. One night, he texted me a photo of a handwritten budget on notebook paper. It was crooked and full of eraser marks, but it was something. "Does this look right?" he asked. I took a deep breath and walked him through it over the phone. I helped him figure out how to keep his cheap car running and how to pay for one community college class at a time. I never once offered to write a check. The mortgage notices started showing up on my parents' counter. I know because my mom sent me a photo of one, followed by a string of messages about how scared she was. For the first time, there was no accusation tucked between the lines, just fear. I told her she needed to call the bank, talk to a financial counselor, maybe sell some of the things they'd bought when money felt endless. A few weeks later, she sent me another photo. The gold bracelet Grandma had left her, listed on an online resale site. It hurt to see it, but it was the first truly adult decision I'd watched her make in a long time. While their world was contracting, mine was quietly expanding. With the trust no longer bleeding out every month, the balance stopped feeling like a slow leak and started feeling like a foundation. I sat down with the attorney, not as the exhausted emergency button for my family, but as someone planning her own life. We ran the numbers, and for the first time, the math was about me. A month before the 90 days were up, I closed on a small ranch-style house on the edge of Bay Ridge. Nothing fancy, nothing Instagram perfect, just a solid little place with a fenced yard and enough sun for a garden. I used part of the remaining trust for the down payment and set up a mortgage I could cover with my job. No help, no secrets. When I moved in, I brought my grandparents' photo albums and their letter and hung a framed copy of that line in my kitchen. "We trust you, Emily." I decided to honor it properly this time. Instead of being my family's invisible wallet, I set aside a portion of the trust income for something my grandparents would have actually smiled at. A small scholarship fund for women in our county who want to take online medical or nursing classes but can't afford the upfront costs. Real health, real education, no steak dinners attached. My relationship with my parents didn't magically heal. They never gave me a dramatic, tearful apology on a front lawn, and I never delivered some perfect movie speech where everyone hugged. We are polite now, cautious. Holidays are quieter. They know better than to ask for money. I know better than to offer without thinking about what it teaches them. Tyler still jokes too much and spends too much on sneakers, but he also knows what a shutoff notice looks like now. He texts me when he gets a raise, when he pays something off. Sometimes I hear my grandparents in the pride in his voice. Here's what I've learned through all of this. Being generous doesn't mean erasing yourself. Family doesn't give you the right to humiliate the person who keeps the lights on. Love without boundaries turns into fuel for resentment, and respect without gratitude dries up the moment the money does. If you're listening to this and you've ever been the broke one in a family that secretly leans on you, I hope you hear this clearly. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to protect what you've worked for. You're allowed to demand respect before you hand over help. My mom humiliated me at dinner and toasted to my worthlessness with money I'd approved. By morning, one email took away their illusion and gave me back my life. So now I'll ask you what I had to ask myself. Are you paying for people who would still call you worthless if the bill had your name on it? And if you are, what would your own version of that email look like? Tell me your story. Thank you for staying with this story all the way to the end. Personally, I see the main character as someone who finally chose self-respect over silent sacrifice, even when it meant walking away from the role of family savior. She isn't perfect, but she was brave enough to set boundaries, protect her future, and still leave room for genuine growth and change. In a way, her journey reflects a kind of strength many of us quietly wish we had in our own families.